Hello, everybody. This is Tammy, Texas Desert Rose here, and trying to get some of these recordings out there, some podcasts out there while I'm off for the holiday. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Love it, love it, love it. Um, so much to be grateful for. It seems like that this holiday is the one holiday that we're kind of, even those of us who really aren't, are a little bit more mindful of what we're grateful for. I know that I can have too much of a focus on things that I'm worried about, stressed about, things that I need to do better, things I need to improve upon. Yeah, so um, I hope, well, and I know that every one of us can think of at least one thing that we're grateful for. Like I was laying in my bed this morning and just realizing how comfortable I am up in, my little townhouse and feeling like I'm in my treehouse and just the quiet and just the knowing that I'm in a solid place with good neighbors is a huge thing that I sometimes forget about and take for granted. So, enough of that. Blessings to you all for Thanksgiving. For those of you who celebrate, those of you who don't, definitely be mindful of your gratitudes as well. And I am happy to introduce someone that I've known quite a while, Melissa. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us
Thanks
and
for having me.
really grateful to have you. I want to allow the audience to hear whether we focus on that or not, what your specialty is and your big news that you received this morning.
It has been a special, very special day to me for multiple reasons. Number one, we've got family in town. We celebrated my niece's wedding so there's so many amazing things to be grateful for. Life just gives us some interesting twists and turns, and um, I try to express the gratitude every morning when I wake up, and this was one of those mornings because the very first thing that I got this morning was that I was recognized as one of Dallas' best financial advisors on the digital reference. Um, so
That's amazing. And those of you who don't know what in the world that is, will you describe a little bit?
Yes, Digital Reference is just it's one of the organizations that likes to recognize upcoming people in their industries that are movers and shakers, and they like to differentiate people for the things that they do. And one of the things that they really appreciated about me is I prefer to be transparent. I like to talk about real life, how money is affected by your mental health and your emotions, and everything generally comes together. What I do as a financial planner isn't just push the spreadsheets. It's really try to encompass all things human values and making sure that your money aligns with your human values. And to be recognized for that is just, it's amazing. I'm so over the moon.
I'm
Yeah,
so proud of you. I met you probably like 10 years ago.
at
Can you
least,
believe
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
I think 10 plus. And we both were assigned at a National Guard event. Was
mhm.
it in Fort Worth?
It was in Fort Worth. Yep, at the Air Force Base.
Wow, yeah. And Melissa and I just started talking, and I'll have an interest in finances, and you have an interest in counseling psychology stuff, and you and I just really gelled, became Facebook friends.
Yeah.
And I saw a post that you were doing about just kind of telling your story, and I reached out and you responded. I'm so excited. And then this big celebration
You're
comes.
right.
Huge. It's
It
huge
is.
because let me just do my little mini diatribe here of it's interesting to me that doesn't really surprise me that money and trust go hand in hand, even in you may or may not know that I'm getting certified in trauma astrology. And even in the astrology chart, the second house is money and values, your sense of safety. They go hand in hand. You're being rewarded for the fact that your openness and genuine um, approach is what helps people to feel safe.
It is. It
So
is
well done.
the number one thing when people come to me. They're not coming to me generally for the money part, although money is the very important when you're creating a financial plan. Most people they open up to me right away about their anxieties about retiring and going through the life stages. You know what it's like to have a kid going to college. Am I prepared? Am I doing enough? Um,
Gary.
and it's terrifying for some. You know, you can plan as good as you can, but you just never know sometimes. So bringing all of that in and trying to really align with what your personal values are as a family. And it also, you know, it moves farther into your children and helping your children understand what the family values are. Um, as far as, you know,
Helping and
no,
not over helping, right?
right, yeah, not over helping, teaching people to elevate themselves. You know, there's the whole expression teaching somebody to fish. If you give a person a fish, you know, they can eat for the day, but if you teach them to fish, it elevates them for the long haul.
I like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when you thought about coming on to Texas Desert Rose, tell me, what do you want to focus on? Because there's so much that it's just like kid and candy store. I could go so
There
many different
is.
places.
We could do 7 weeks. I think
Yes.
what would probably be most important for people to hear today is a little bit of my story,
Yeah.
and why I really decided to share my mental health journey, and really how
Great.
it comes full circle and how it really relates to what I do as a financial planner. Because if people have experienced anything like what I've experienced for the last year, or a little bit longer, you know, and if hearing my story helps them understand they're actually normal, yeah, you know, it
The
happens,
normal limits for sure.
right? And how to get out of it or how to ask for help, even when you don't feel like you can. So,
Well done.
thank you. Yeah,
Tell us as much as you're willing to share. I do know
yeah,
that's what draws people is
yeah.
real life stories, not the canned, perfect, here's my life, here's how I've done it, and I wouldn't do anything different. No, it's the
Yeah.
real stuff.
Yeah, this is real. I have struggled throughout the last year with high functioning depression.
Okay.
And it I never really saw it coming because you don't. That's the
There was
whole point
no
of,
provocation. Or are you going to
yeah,
get into that?
yeah, there was really nothing that came in to say, hey, you are struggling, until it was too late. And I had that big moment where everything, the world just kind of stops. So I've decided over the next few weeks to share my journey via video and talk about things that people, the way that I felt, the things that I would do, how I would receiving help, and just kind of go through the process of how the healing is. And that's part of things that we should really share today. Um, a lot of it really started with overworking and trying to take on too much, as a lot of us women do. Have always been the one in life where the person that you can count on, the team player, in all aspects of life, the person that people will come to and say, I know you're busy, but you know, would you mind helping me? And because I love everybody and I want to elevate everybody, that answer for me has always been yes. Um,
We are the human doings, right?
we are the human doings, and for me, it was seeing other people that were struggling and knowing if I could take just a little bit off their plate and put it on mine, it might make it easier for them to go forward just a little bit better. My mom has always told me the expression, that she is a woman, would like to hold the door open so other people can go through.
Wow, it's a strong message
It is a very strong message, and it's
and an
something.
honorable one, right?
It is. And I never understood how I really live and breathe that And just by following what my mom has always taught me from a little girl, I'm going to hold the door open for you so you can make things happen. And that's how the depression really started. And I didn't know it because I was doing everything, making everything happen, taking care of, were things at work, family. I mean, you name it, you got it, here it comes. And it just looked like more and more on my plate. The deeper that I kind of got into the depression, I would notice towards the last few months before the big moment for me, it was coming home from work and being just so exhausted that I couldn't really function at home. I started snapping at people, snapping at my husband, and very, very unfairly. All he was doing the entire time was supporting me, just not understanding what I was going through. I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I would snap at the kids just for being kids. And the
Which all of us can relate to that on some level,
we
but you
can.
noticed it more than would
It
typically be the case.
it wasn't just snapping because it was followed by an immediate flood of guilt.
Sure. Guilt and shame. Really shame. Yeah, both.
Yeah, and the shame because I know they're just kids and they love their mommy and they're just doing what they should be doing. And here I am not able to handle it because my cup is literally overfilling. So that's really kind of what it looked like. And the more that I had on my plate, the more that I was trying to take on, the more other things started appearing. Things like I was struggling to eat. I would go all day long um, and not be able to eat because it just made me sick. And then we would sit down at the dinner table for dinner, and I would have 1 or 2 bites and immediately start throwing up
Anxiety.
from anxiety, from all the stress that I was taking on. And then the thought of me throwing up at the dinner table in front of my girls was just another one of those shame and guiltful moments that shouldn't be happening. Um,
Well, and it's interesting to me, not a judgment,
yeah,
just feedback, that I don't know what normal reaction is, but at least somewhere in there is what's wrong with me? Something's wrong. I need to get this checked out. But the automatic kind of guilt and shame about it.
yeah, yeah. It
Okay.
was it was really very interesting. And it came with a lot more. The more that happened, the more the sleepless nights and the more thinking about the constant cycle for me, it was over analyzing myself and what's wrong with me, why am I doing this, and just stuck in kind of that slosh of how do I make myself better? How do I do more so other people don't experience, this kind of thing? And
Why am I not enough? How do I fix this? I'm broken. And the
exactly,
stinking thinking that happens when we go through things like this.
exactly. And it just kept perpetuating. And there were days where I would wake up and I would get in the car and honestly cry because I didn't know how I was going to get through the day.
And that's the first thing in the morning, right,
That
Melissa?
was the first thing in the morning. I would get to work and I would feel better because I was in that comfort zone because I love what I do so much.
Mhm.
It was working with clients and working with, in the team that made me feel grounded, even though I was taking on so much of life, period. So I would go all day feeling normal because that's what I was conditioning myself to do. And then at the end of the
Masking.
day, it would come apart again.
Well, and everyone out there who listens to this, keep in mind that this is what Melissa's going through when she has an intact marriage, kids, a job that she loves. If she can go through this, I would imagine we can all relate. And at some point, listening to this may help you to clue in when and if you go through something like this too.
Right. And that's exactly why I decided it's so important to share my story because I have a husband and my family, they are the most supportive, wonderful family that I could have. And I am so thankful for that. I have a job and a career that I truly love. I am born to be a financial planner. It makes
Yes.
me so happy just being able to help and elevate others. That is what I just breathe. it just got to the point where it was too much, and that's fine. It doesn't make me broken. It doesn't mean that I made bad decisions. It just means it's part of life and it can happen to literally everybody.
Well, and I can tell you from, client experiences, personal experiences, that there are certain ages where you go through, I'll call it an evaluation and then reevaluation processes. Somewhere as a kid, I really thought once you hit a certain age, life would get easier. And I'm certainly well within that life lived so far. And I'm not going to say it's horrible. It's not bad, but there's no place where I get to where I feel like, okay, now I've conquered. Certain areas of my life I've conquered, but really there's this level of the more I know, the more I don't know type
Yeah.
thing. You're quite a bit younger than me, but it's still the same thing.
It is. And the more that, and I love that because I do love continuing to better myself and
Sure.
to learn more things so I can help others and show others, the ways to do certain things. And life isn't about standing still. It is about constant change and making, each of us better and just learning. So
So you said a year of feeling this way.
yeah.
Take me to those mornings when you're like, I'm about to walk into my life, or I'm about to get out of bed and do the thing again. How did you get through that? Is there
It
a
was
magic pill, so to speak?
It wasn't at that point. I had not yet seen, I have had a good relationship with a therapist throughout. It's something that I believed in. Um,
Yay.
and it is really for me, it's a lot like a medical checkup. And I think you should at least visit with a therapist or somebody at least once a year because you never know. You
I
never
like that.
know when something's going to come up. And I thought I was strong enough. I thought it wasn't. I didn't think it was mental for me at this point. I didn't think it was my mental health that was slipping. I thought I just wasn't meeting the deadlines and doing things that I should be doing in life. I thought I was failing.
Like there was some area that you hadn't checked off that do you ever get that feeling of everybody knows but me?
Yeah,
There's some area I didn't get the memo.
right.
I can definitely relate to that.
And a lot of times I found myself asking that. What am I missing that I'm missing? And I would ask family and friends, and they would kind of look at me, well, maybe I'm not missing a whole lot. I don't know.
They don't
Um,
have the answers either, right?
no, and none of us really did. So at this point, when I was going through things, I hadn't reached back out to my therapist because I thought generally thought it was me that was failing. You know, and getting through each day really looked like getting to work, putting my happy face on, and just one foot in front of the other. I would laugh with clients, I would laugh with coworkers, laugh with people I met, and days it felt normal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving work and then going to the gym and doing everything that I could, and then getting home and experiencing that wave of again. And that was that's how it was very much a rinse, wash, repeat type thing.
So far, what I kind of hear you saying is that it was some kind of white knuckling it,
Very much.
and something I can really relate to is both from what my clients have said, but also what I have felt is the times when I really needed to reach out to my therapist or to somebody is when I withdraw because in my stinking thinking, which by the way cannot be trusted when you're going through something like this, the thinking just cannot trust it. But I wouldn't reach out for fear that I was failing and feeling like I was failing. And I really didn't want to say it out loud. Well, that's
Right.
exactly what I needed to do.
Right. Right. Because it
But,
means all the plates that are in the air could potentially drop.
and eventually will.
And eventually it eventually will. Um, for me, the big moment where I realized that it's time to call that therapist, and it was way too late at that point. Way
That
too
was
late.
my next question. What was
Yeah,
the pinnacle?
It was for me. I spent a weekend with my husband and the girls, just away. It was a great weekend. If it was nice because it felt normal. It was being present for them. It was laughing and fishing and doing the things that we love to do as a family. And come Sunday, we packed up the car. We started, driving home. And the minute that we turned onto the highway, it was the tears that slowly started dripping underneath my sunglasses and just kind of wiping them off. And then they just kept coming. And it got to the point where it was an uncontrollable sob, but I didn't know exactly why I was crying. And it just felt so heavy.
What that tells me, and I say this out loud and for you to confirm or deny, is that it wasn't family. It wasn't, it was somewhere along the way, there was a lack of inspiration with your life.
Yeah.
Still love your work, still love your clients, still love your family, but start to feel this. And I think that's important for people to hear. All those can exist at the same time.
And I did, I still loved my job. Mondays have always been my favorite thing, which sounds funny because I've always loved to go to work on Mondays just to see
Yeah.
what it is. But this time it was different. It was very heavy. And by the time we got home, I realized that the reason that I was crying is because I was returning to normal. And I didn't like normal anymore. I didn't like it at all.
Well, it didn't work anymore.
It didn't. Um, and that's when I made the appointment to see my therapist, to actually take the time, because that was another thing is, when do you go? What's the time? And
Where do I fit it in, right?
carving those moments out of the day to get it in. And that's when I really decided, for me, it's time to do this, because if I'm feeling like this, it means I'm not showing up for other people the way I should be showing up.
Right. So it sounds to me like you are motivated the same way I am. I probably would not have gotten assistance when I've gone through things like this for myself, but I would do it if I felt like I was cheating my clients or my family, or I'll do it for others.
Right.
But
Because
it
that's
got
what
me
we
there.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that's what we do. And
for sure.
I will say that I don't think that's the moment everything really got better. And I think for a lot of people, there's this common misnomer that when you start getting therapy, everything, and you're suddenly Miss Susie Sunshine again. And that's not
Check.
right. Yeah. Fine. Back to normal. Everything's good. Let's rock this. And that wasn't it at all. From there, I found a little bit of my voice to be able to start saying why I was so upset with things. And for me, finding my voice again helped to deepen my depression, because I started communicating things that I felt were important and they weren't really heard.
Like
And
said, oh, okay. So I hear this a lot. I've experienced this as well, where when I'm not speaking up, deep down, I can tell myself it's because I didn't speak up. But once I speak up and set those boundaries or express how I feel, and it still doesn't change, there's a deeper level of grief that has to be walked through. Would you agree with
absolutely,
that?
because you feel invisible, you feel dismissed, and the emotional toll that that takes really just that's what really knocked me on my backside.
That is, I think that's why they say that counseling is not for the faint of heart, because once you open that box, not to scare people,
No,
because the joy that's on the other side cannot be described.
no.
It's like getting on the Ferris wheel or whatever it is, this really scary ride. It's really scary, but when you get off, it's the best feeling in the world. But you
Right.
got to ride the ride.
You do. You do. You have to take the time to examine yourself and examine everything that's going on inside your life, just to find what that voice is. And then how do you change your life to be able to make sure that you maintain that voice?
The and I don't mean this in a minimizing way at all. The rose-colored glasses come off. And
Mhm.
once you see, you cannot unsee. I'll never forget a therapist telling me that. Once you see, you can't unsee. So enter into this with that awareness. And they
Right?
were absolutely correct. And it got to the point, it was really difficult, toughest thing I've ever done. Um, but I don't even think about it now. It's normal for me to speak my truth.
Yeah.
For a long time, it's setting boundaries, and then it becomes way over here,
Yeah.
and then working self back to I can speak it. I don't have to say it in a mean way. I don't have to say it in a loud way. Me speaking it is enough. And
Right.
it took a while. Took a while.
Owning your truth, and for so many people, I feel like finding that voice often comes with a bit of an anger,
Sure.
because you are in that position. And
Mhm.
for me, it was frustration, but it was never anger. Um,
Yeah.
if I was angry,
Hurt.
I was angry with myself for letting myself get to that point where I felt dismissed and heard. And I think a lot of women will relate to that, because that's a little bit of kind of what we're expected to be. And
Definitely.
yeah, so that's kind of how that one goes.
Well, and self-forgiveness, like you're saying, self-forgiveness,
Yeah,
forgiving self for not knowing.
right.
And it's like, and I don't know of anybody who doesn't relate to this. You have to hit a wall before you go forward. Um, I- Maybe there's other people out there that are so hyper aware they don't have to hit a wall, but I'm definitely one who does.
Oh, I did. I hit the wall. I smashed through it and hit the concrete fence right after that one. Um,
Right.
and at least that's the way I kind of felt. Did that really happen? Maybe, maybe not. It wasn't like my life really fell apart or anything. It wasn't dramatic. And I've talked to people about my journey, and they will say, "Oh, you weren't really depressed because you could still get out of bed."
You know what that reminds me of, Melissa? This is such a goofy example, but when I was going to get my wisdom teeth out and everybody had their story that was much worse,
Hmm.
and it ended up scaring me to death, but it's like, oh, you can't really be depressed because you didn't have to go get electroconvulsive done or something.
Right.
That is so gaslighting. Good intentions, but it's gaslighting. You were in it because you lived it and felt it every day.
Yep.
Also, there's a temptation, I would imagine, to go, why are you feeling this way? You have no right to feel this way. Look how blessed you are.
Yes, on so many levels. And I would hear that from other people when I was trying to communicate. And before I really felt heard, I would try to speak up a little bit, and people would look at me and go, "What's the problem? Why are you so ungrateful?" And then I started thinking that I was very ungrateful because I was doing all of these things wrong and I wasn't doing enough to do the thing. And the thing of life, that was, yeah, it was,
Punishing the victim,
it
punishing
is
self.
very much,
Oh, wow.
very much.
For those who are watching, and you may not know the answer to this, but maybe we can come up with something together, who they come from cultures where therapy isn't readily accepted. Or maybe for whatever reason, even though you can get counseling that doesn't cost much or doesn't cost anything in places, but some places it's just not part of the culture
Yeah.
at all. So, thinking about the different places I've lived overseas, and it's kind of an American phenomenon and maybe a German one. But do you have any suggestions or anything, other things that you try besides counseling to help you get through this?
When things really got hard for me, I, I, there's a meditation app that I started using. Um,
Excellent.
And it was, I found a Bluetooth speaker that you would charge and you'd stick it underneath your pillow and no one else around could hear. But when
I
you,
need that.
it was amazing. And I used
Wow.
it for months. And I would find different meditation things, things about being strong, about finding your voice. And this was really before I started seeing the therapist, because I knew I needed something and I thought maybe I just need to get myself together. So I would charge it, stick it under my pillow every night, and fall asleep listening to the meditation app. And it helped me in a way to keep me a little bit more grounded. I
Yeah.
continued using it. I broke the speaker, so I will have to get a new one. They're not washable, just
Christmas.
yeah, just so we know. Um, it really has helped to really keep things aligned and
I
to
like that because it doesn't have to cost anything. And I know the sound healing helps that as well, like the different megahertz and all that. But also, something that a lot of people don't know is that even when you fell asleep, your unconscious mind was taking in the information and helping to uh, level those vibrations while you
it was.
slept, even.
And I slept better when I used it.
That makes sense.
I slept better. I did. And you could tell the nights that I didn't use it, I wouldn't get as restful sleep as I would. So it is definitely something that I believe in. I know in different cultures, the stigma of getting the help, because
Yeah.
so many people think that you're going to go dump your story and somebody's going to tell you how broken you are. I knew how broken I
And
was.
sometimes it happens, or how you felt. The
Right.
You weren't broken, but you felt that way.
I I felt you're exactly right. I wasn't broken, but I felt I put myself in the box so I could check I'm broken. Um, and for so many people, it's not about hearing that, it's getting the tools to help yourself out of that box and climb up. Um, and what people really should know, that healing isn't linear. It's gonna come in waves. There's days that you're gonna be on top of the world, and 2 days later you are going back to go without collecting the $200. It's
Mhm.
it's one of those things, but it's all kind of the trend of moving up, and and that's the most important part.
So, would you say 0 to 10 that you're at your level 10 as far as on top of the world? Or where would you put yourself today?
I would say I'm higher today, definitely because of the award and the news that I received this
Oh,
morning.
today, yes, for sure.
Today, I'd probably be even higher up there. Um, in life in general, I think I'm back to probably a 7, probably 8, depending on the day.
I'll take
Um,
that.
I'll take it, and I know that I'm going to carry a little bit of the baggage and the PTSD from this year with me for the rest of my life. But it's reminding myself to give myself grace and to know that, yeah, I've gone through something, but I am a stronger person because of it. For a long while, the depression put me into a little bit of the imposter syndrome. Um,
Sure.
so I ended up having to borrow people's beliefs in me. When they would call, friends or family members, anybody, and they would say, "Oh, I know that you can do this. You're such a strong person." Um, you borrow those beliefs, to continue moving through the day. And throughout my journey, I realized that, I am that person that everyone needed me to be. I just needed to be kinder to myself.
Sure. And there'll always be that tendency to do what we love so much. And I don't know that's a bad thing. It is, I think you will notice sooner now when you start to feel that come up. I will tell you that, and you know this, but to let our audience know that depression and anxiety are two sides of the same coin. If you have so much anxiety that it starts to take its toll, or you can have so much anxiety that it leads into depression. And depression, for those of you who don't know, it's not, I'm kind of in a lull today or this week. It is persistent and pervasive. And no matter what you do, it seems to always linger. It's like this cloak that is over you that you can't quite kick off, is how I would describe it. Um, so, how has this affected your work with your clients, good, bad, or indifferent?
I think it is making me a stronger planner, actually, and a stronger leader, a stronger mentor, a stronger really everything. Because reminding myself that I've gone through this, that I know other people are going through it, and it really, what I've gone through really has helped me go back and realign what I'm doing in putting financial planning in human values, making sure that all of that is there because money is so related to your financial health or to your mental health. Um, it,
Security, right?
it,
Sense of
it all
security and
goes,
safety.
it all goes hand in hand. For so many, it's just the anxiety of thinking about that next stage in life. And, I see people that are laid off and they go through this very big depression because they don't feel valued anymore because they've lost their identity in their work, or they're retiring and all they know is work. And maybe it's a chosen retirement, maybe it's a forced retirement. There's
Sure.
still something, within that. And it is very emotional because you're losing your identity. So helping people when we're doing financial planning to counseling them from a non-counselor way, because I'm not a mental health therapist, I'm a financial planner, but I've gone through it so I can understand and empathize with them to know what they're experiencing and moving forward.
That's beautiful. I would definitely, I can speak for me, and I would imagine many agree that if I'm going to meet with somebody about my security, be it money, retirement, investments, whatever, I like knowing it's somebody who's been through their own stuff and
Yeah,
they will sit here in Girlfriend's Guide to, like real talk.
yeah.
And, would you, are you able to share how, if somebody's interested in reaching out to you, do they need to be in the local Dallas area or
I don't. No, I actually work with clients all over the world, actually. Um,
imagine?
Predominantly, my clients are here in the United States, just because I know the US retirement laws and things, but helping
Sure.
people generally, all over the world, just saving for their futures is something that we can do.
Okay. Um, should they reach out to me here at Texas Desert Rose and I can get you that information? Is that how you prefer to do it?
Yeah, they can do that. You can also find me on Instagram, at Melissa Cox CFB, or going to my
C as in cat, F as in frog,
P as
P
in
as in
Paul, Peter, Pottle, Peter Paul,
CFP, Certified Financial Planner.
by financial planner. Yes.
So Melissa Cox, CFP at,
Instagram is there. My website is futurefocusedwealth.com.
okay,
And if you are looking for the financial advice but not ready to pick things up, I do have a book that I published, which is Future Focused Wealth. That's available
wonderful.
on Amazon and Apple and Google Play and a lot of the bookstores. So,
So it's Future Focused Wealth by Melissa Cox on Amazon,
mhm.
Spotify.
Amazon, Google Books, Apple Books. A lot of the big bookstores are also carrying it as well.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. And a huge congratulations on your award. Much deserved. I understand the emotions around that.
Yeah,
And what that tells me is we forget to celebrate our accomplishments,
we do.
especially we human doings, of which I relate. We forget to celebrate it, or we've been trained, particularly as females, to be humble. And to be humble means you don't really speak out loud what you've accomplished. And I'm so glad that you are and that you're willing to receive the congratulations.
Absolutely. Today was very kismet and the universe reinforcing me coming out and just starting to share my journey, and everything with the video series that I'm doing, and then coming on with you and talking that. And it was just this pop this morning that you're doing things right. You're doing,
Yeah, well, and there isn't really a wrong, but being willing to share the things, the vulnerabilities is hard, but it's hard for a reason. People need to hear it.
very
Is
true.
there any other contact information that you want to share at all? We're definitely going to put this out there
Yeah.
and with on Facebook, of course, and on YouTube. And please share also so that people in your world can see it as well,
Absolutely.
and get the word out there that, vulnerability is real and it can rock also.
It can, and it helps to deepen those relationships because you
Yes.
don't know who's going to hear it and say, I I didn't realize I was going through the same thing.
Yeah. And if she's going through it, then maybe I'm okay too.
Right, right.
So, you guys, if you want to reach out to get in touch with Melissa, or if you have any questions, you want to connect, whatever, please do. Texas Desert Rose 1111 at gmail.com. Also, the Facebook page and YouTube under the same name. Melissa, you're wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And for those of you who celebrate, again, happy Thanksgiving. And if you don't, then certainly, like I said in the beginning, be mindful of your gratitudes. Blessings all.